Here we go. Thank you for joining Beta the Boss. It's me, Chase Harmer, your host, and I'm here with Randall Crowder. Now, Randall, I haven't really, this is the first time we've actually talked face-to-face. I did see him talk in Las Vegas at the crypto show. That was like, what, like 2 years ago, something like that?
Yeah, CIS, I think. Yeah, CIS.
This big
No, we get the watchers. You came to the Chicago Motorsports, didn't you?
I did. I was
there.
That's
right. That was that kickoff.
Right after the affiliate summit, like all the OGs are there. There's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I saw you talk, and I was like, man. And then I talked to Chase too, and you guys are part of this one group that you guys are doing a lot of stuff inside of the Watchers. And I'm excited to have you on here today. Talk about business, talk about all the stuff that you're doing inside of the Watchers, talk about what you're doing on the fundraising side of things, and of course, Phunware. The company that you're involved with. So, Randall, thank you for being on the show, man.
Thanks for having me, Chase. No, I really appreciate it. I love what you're doing with Beta the Boss. It's awesome.
Thanks, man. Well, so your story, obviously, there's a lot of people that are listening that are entrepreneurs, and they're wondering how guys like yourself became so successful. Like, we're able to reach these different pillars of success, and you do a lot of stuff, and you put yourself out there. And we just had the discussion about that, but you kind of came from the financial services background, from what I saw, right? So you're involved in a lot of companies, you're invested in a lot of companies, you're on a lot of different companies' boards. Kind of give me the rundown on how you guys got started in the financial services business and how you built that empire that you're involved with today.
Man, I gotta say, I cringe when I hear financial services industry. So I always tell people, actually, so you said it much better than I did, and I appreciate that because checks in the mail. But actually, I have made a career out of collecting jobs I'm not qualified for, and that's what being an entrepreneur is all about, right? You see something that you want to do, or you see something that needs to be done.
Sure.
You figure it out. So actually, I went to West Point for undergrad. Did the military thing for a while, deployed a couple times.
When did you get out of the military? When did you were a kid when you got into the military?
Yeah. So I went in and I went to West Point in @98, graduated in 2002. I give, my best friend at the time actually convinced me to go. His dad had gone. It was kind of a generational thing. And at the time, Rumsfeld was downsizing the Army. So he was like, man, we're going to get a great education. They'll probably pay us to get out of the Army. Junior year, September 11th happened. So I remember calling him and being like, hey, I don't think we're getting out early. So, best laid plans kind of went out the window, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. Being in the military, especially doing what we were doing in Iraq and Afghanistan, it's actually really entrepreneurial. I think it'll be interesting to see how that leadership permeates through private sector as people get out and what they learn doing that. Israel, if you ever read Startup Nation, incredible book, but it talks a lot about, what service meant to Israel as kind of an incubation ecosystem, as a center for entrepreneurship and venture capital. And so hopefully we see a little bit of that coming out of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. But so my mom was the one that told me that getting shot at was not gainful employment. And so she said, hey, maybe it's time to think about toning it down a little bit and seeking life elsewhere. And so I actually ended up getting out of the military in 2008. And then just kind of did a variety of things all at once. I think the Army will teach you, and this is kind of maybe for your listeners, the Army will either teach you love a boss or you hate a boss. And I knew pretty early on that, I didn't enjoy having a boss. And so, that lends itself. I was an entrepreneur by necessity, not really an entrepreneur by desire. Yeah. I knew that I needed to, I liked working without a safety net. I liked doing my own thing. I like creating value. I hate the status quo. And so trying to push the envelope and do things that are new is just kind of was in my DNA. And so ended up going to West Point for undergrad. I came back to Austin after the military to get my MBA at UT. So McCombs is an incredible school for entrepreneurship. It really pushes that heavily. And so I knew I wanted to come back here and do that. I'm from Austin, born and raised. So that kind of worked out well. But I think being in the Army made me feel like I was playing catch up. While I was in Iraq, people were on Wall Street doing,
making money,
9-figure deals, making things happen. I'm like, shit, I got to catch up. So I ended up, if you look at my resume or my background, it's kind of weird how it all works out. Because I started doing a lot of stuff all at once. I think at one point I had 6 email addresses and 8 business cards, and it was just depending on who I was talking to, what they got at any given time. But so I ended up working with Admiral Bobby Inman. He had a venture fund here locally. He was an early investor in Dell and Oracle. And really the reason why I wanted to work with him was trying to know my enemy. I knew I wanted to start a company. I knew I loved kind of, being an entrepreneur. And so I figured what better way to kind of be a better entrepreneur than to learn the other side of the table, to learn how investors think, to learn how venture capitalists view entrepreneurs, but then also get kind of the velocity of deal flow. You know, they're always looking at deals, they're looking at new opportunities, they're talking to entrepreneurs. I felt like that was great research for whatever I might want to get involved in. So worked with him, and then doing that process, we started doing a lot of angel investing. And so I ended up meeting the founders of the Central Texas Angel Network here in Austin. They had just started a small group doing a couple $100,000 a year, kind of just in small, you know, seed stage investing. And I started going to a few meetings and realized, like, man, this isn't, you know, the OCD military mind in me kind of questioned the way it was organized and the way it was kind of going about things. And so, you know, I think this is also important for entrepreneurs. You never get what you don't ask for. And so I remember going to the leadership of the basically the CTAN board, Central Texas Angel Network board, and said, hey, you know, I realize you guys are looking for an executive director. The old one was going to go do something else. I was like, hey, what are you guys looking for? And they basically described Elon Musk. And I was like, I hate to break it to you, Elon Musk is not going to run your angel network. You know, Elon Musk is busy doing other things. And so I made the argument that I was like, let me run it. I was like, you know, I'm about to go get my MBA. You don't really need to pay me. I'm trying to learn, but I'm willing to hustle. And a lot of what you're doing around running an angel network is really glorified secretarial work. I mean, it's a lot of herding of the cats. It's a lot of organization. But for me, I loved it because I got to work with a bunch of different investors, a bunch of different entrepreneurs. I got to kind of run the process. And so I ended up creating in the Army what's called a standard operating procedure. And so it's basically a big manual on everything you would do to run an organization. And I pitched them and said, hey, this is what I would do if you let me take the job. And they were like, you know, it was big. It was pretty thorough. And they were like, you did this for free just to get the job? And I'm like, yeah. So that's how I think about things. And I'm going to show you my value. I'm not going to just talk about it. And so anyways, they believed all the bullshit and they gave me the job. And so I ran it for about 3 years. By the time I left, it's the most active angel network in the country. And so really all we did was make it more organized so that entrepreneurs and investors kind of knew what to expect, knew the process, made it easy for people and capital to kind of connect. And now we're still I think we still are the #1 most active angel network, you know, 10 years later. And so
you guys started this angel network, or you basically created this network that basically is doing a lot more now, right? Yeah. But I see that you're also investing and you also are part of a lot of these different companies. So what kind of transition, like where you were basically running these networks, making all these connections, because that gave you an opportunity to make all these awesome connections,
yep.
But then now becoming an active investor, right? So what was the transition there?
So it's actually quick. I mean, so about a year in, so a couple of things I was doing all at once. So then I actually was, you know, get my MBA, running CTAN. I launched Texas Venture Labs at UT. It was basically an accelerator. It's now called the John Brumley Texas Venture Labs. And it was really just it was almost kind of like an accelerator / incubator. So I was running that, running a program called Venture Fellows. So I was kind of connected really deeply into kind of the investment community. Yeah. But at CTAN, a lot of the deals we started seeing were actually healthcare related. And so I had two, one of the members of the board was a gentleman named Dr. Phil Sanger, career investor, successful in healthcare. And then at a sister fund that we were doing some syndicating with, was another gentleman named Jerry DeVries, great guy, also kind of a career medical device guy for a while. Then he made the pivot into venture capital. So we started doing a lot of deals together, just kind of looking at angel level deals. And we said, you know, there's a big void in Austin of people, you know, basically trying to commercialize innovative health tech. And so we launched Texo Ventures, the three of us together, 10 years ago. And that's kind of how I started getting into direct investing. So most of my portfolio has been either tech-enabled health services or health IT in some form or fashion. So that's where we kind of focused as a venture shop based in Texas. So that was Texo Ventures. That was a lot of my direct investing. Then I started Nove Ventures to focus on blockchain investing several years ago, when kind of, you know, the engineers start talking about blockchain and Bitcoin and everything else. You start to get kind of interested in things like that. So that's kind of how I came at it from a technical standpoint before it was kind of cool. Started Nove Ventures. And ironically, in this whole big ecosystem, I met Alan Natowski 10 years ago when I was running CTAN when he first moved to Austin. And I helped out with the first seed round to launch Phunware Fast forward 10 years, Nove Ventures, the firm I started to focus on blockchain, was the last private money to invest in Phunware before we went public. So I bookended my time with Phunware, and it's weird how life works out. So we've known each other for 10 years, and I've been there since the very beginning. So it's kind of cool.
So, you started this, and obviously we're going to get into crypto as well. But one thing that I want to touch on is, a lot of investors, even myself included, raising, 10 million or 15 million or whatever, it's not easy, right? You have to be able to talk. You have to be able to talk to a fuckload of people, because not everybody's going to get the fucking idea. Not everybody can absorb it. And you guys raised over $100 million for Phunware. But you're a career investor, you know what you're doing. So tell me, and what the entrepreneurs are listening, like, what is it specifically that you need to focus on when you're talking to people that are looking to basically put capital up for your business? Like, what are the main things that you have to convince them of? Like, because there's so many people are out there trying to raise money, and they're probably doing it the wrong way, and they're getting slapped in the face all day long, but you're very successful at it. So tell me, like, maybe what the top, like, few things are that
I break it down into three. I think it's volume, authenticity, and hustle.
Right.
And sadly, people have a hard time with all three of those, because we live in a very entitled world today. It's an on-demand economy. We want what we want, and we want it now. And a lot of people have really, technology can do a lot for us, but can also be a crutch.
Right.
And it can also cripple your ability to connect with people. And so the first piece being volume is, it's a numbers game. Look, having, been investing now for 12 years, you get told, as an entrepreneur, you get told no a lot. As an investor, you get told no a lot. It's a game of no. I mean, literally, I mean, if you're going to try to raise money, and you want to raise it from 5 or 10 people, you better be talking to like 500, and they're not going to say no just because they hate you or they don't like the way you look or whatever. It's just because you can only deploy so much money as a part of your own investment thesis, and you only have so much time in the day, and almost most of the deals that you're dealing with are referred in. Those are the ones you're going to go focus on first. If somebody cold calls you, you're like, okay, I'll get to that one. Right. And so people are just, they're busy, and they got other things going on. And so you need to cast a wide net. I used to tell my entrepreneurs, I was like, don't try to game it. Don't try to, don't self-select out. If you have a chance to pitch anywhere and everywhere you can. Pitch on campus, pitch at that, some accelerator, pitch on the street, pitch in the elevator. You should just be pitching constantly.
You never know who's there too, listening. Right?
Exactly. That's key. And it's so true in Austin. In Austin, the richest person is the guy in shorts and sandals in the back of the room who's barely paying attention. It's like, you never know who you're going to get or where you're going to get. So that volume of activity, talking to anyone and everyone you possibly can, that's kind of step one. Step two is authenticity. It's kind of gotten cool to start companies. Starting companies sucks. It's hard. It is not Steve Jobs, running around on a yacht doing whatever. I mean, it is the most heartbreaking, grinding. There's so many easier ways to make money. But the reality is, most entrepreneurs wouldn't do it any other way. If you're a real entrepreneur when, like, the struggle, the fight gets you going. Like, when you feel the nerves and you're like, it's game time, let's go. Like, that's what gets people jazzed about being an entrepreneur, because it's their baby. They like working it without a safety net. They like when people tell them they can't do it. And it's like it's go time. And so, it's, hey, coffee's for closers, right? So, for the authenticity piece of it, though, it's got to be what you were born to do. It's got to be what you love. Dogs can smell fear. Investors can smell authenticity. Totally. They don't want you walking in being like, hey, can I have some money, please? I think this thing is going to be great, and I'm going to sell it to my first customer, and we'll all make a lot of money. Like, no, they want to believe. They want to believe that, I mean, even though they won't admit it, and a lot of people are just financial engineers, a lot of rich people imagine finding the next Mark Zuckerberg. They imagine finding the next Elon Musk. So you have to have that projection that you believe in what you do, that you believe in what you can achieve. Otherwise, they're not going to believe it. I mean, what's the old relationship advice? You got to love yourself for someone else to be able to love someone else. Yeah. If you don't love yourself, if you don't love your company, if you're not willing to go to the mat for it and put everything you have into it, The investor is going to sense that in a second. Because remember, the investors see this stuff all the time. Like I was seeing, I don't know, 100 to 200 deals a month. And so the entrepreneur's coming in thinking, okay, this is my moment. I'm going to pitch. And I'm like, I just had 10 pitches just before you. So I have pattern recognition now.
Let me ask you this before I break your chain. You have like one more thing to cover, but
yeah,
you have 200 deals a month that you're looking at. Like you're scanning through these deals, right? I mean, so when you're scanning through the deal, like what is it about that scan that catches your eye? Go, hey, like let me put it in this file.
Who honestly, sourcing. And that's the sad truth that no one will tell you. Everyone wants to talk about, you need to have a big market. You need to have a good product market fit. You need to have a good team.
Right.
Most investors start and stop with who's the deal coming from and who else is in the deal.
Got you.
Full stop. So like that, and that's going to get me to my last bucket being hustle. You've got to hustle. Like the jobs you want, let's say, take entrepreneurship off the table. Let's say you just corporate America. The jobs you want are not the jobs you post to Monster or Indeed. The jobs you want are the ones where your buddy, reaches out to you and is like, hey, I just got pulled into this company. We're doing big things. I know you're awesome because we worked on something else together and you were always awesome. You want to come join me. It's like you get poached. Or the jobs you really want are the ones where you find that job you want and you stalk the CEO and you hang out in the lobby until you see him and you're like, come, sir, I want to come work for you. Like you got to hustle for what you want. It's not going to just be given to you. My dad used to always say, you never get what you don't ask for. And so you gotta hustle and you gotta find the people who are gonna vibe with you, who's gonna whose frequency. If I'm trying to invest in some, or if I'm trying to raise money for a new defibrillator, I'm gonna find an investor whose kid has an arrhythmia or who has like heart failure or whose grandparents died from a heart attack. Like you find you can the information. The internet age is a great thing because information is everywhere, right? And you can find ways to connect in authentic moments with people, but it requires hustle. And you gotta build those connections and build those, intersections with people so that your audience, and then they're more willing to listen to you. So if you can get a warm intro, if you can, find some sort of commonality, and it doesn't even have to be about the business. It could be about sports for all you know. Manufacturing run-ins with investors is a great way to like have an authentic moment. Like, hey, I know that they like the Yankees and like, I know they're going to the game. I mean, you literally have to stalk people and build these almost, you have to profile people, stalk people, and then create authentic exchanges. Because if my admin schedules a meeting, says, hey, be in the conference room at 10 o'clock, somebody's gonna come by and pitch some idea. Unless you come in and just blow my mind, I'm already not really paying attention in the way that I would if, me and you have done 3 deals together and then you're like, hey, we exited one deal, we're still looking good on another deal. And you come to me and say, hey, I've got another deal I want to look at. I'm like, yeah, Chase, let's go. Like, let's look at another deal. Right. So you got to build your network. And so I would say for entrepreneurs, don't build your network that's a constant thing. As a CEO, this, you're always fundraising. Right. Well, as an entrepreneur, you're also always building your network. You got to be present. You got to, like we were talking about this before we started, you got to put yourself out there. People need to know you. They need to feel like you're familiar, that you're not a stranger. So you got to have a great digital presence. You got to have a great in-room presence, and you got to have a good network. So you leverage your universities, leverage meetups, leverage societies, right. Get involved, because the merits of your company are not going to carry the day. Just saying that, hey, I've got a big market, I'm solving a big problem, and I've got a couple patents, and this is a great product. Don't you want to invest? Everybody says that. Everybody's got that. What else? Give me more.
Right, right. Now, you ultimately are from this world. Let's talk about Phunware a little bit. I was on a call yesterday with the California Business Journal. I actually gave you guys a throw out because they were talking to me about artificial intelligence and how it's going to be utilized in the future. And I was like, well, there's this one really cool company called Phunware, and they basically are utilizing it to, give customers what they want, right? So I kind of gave you guys that.
Appreciate that. In the mail.
I want to talk about it too, because I really believe that artificial intelligence is the future, and you guys are doing some cool things with it. But also, like what you guys are you're transitioning to almost go like a big part of your portion of your time is dedicated to Phunware. So tell me about what Phunware is doing, what problem you guys are solving, and how you guys are utilizing artificial intelligence to change.
Love it, love it. No, and to kind of, and you've heard a little bit of this, but to kind of really understand kind of what we're doing today. So, Phunware has been around for 10 years. We just went public last December. We raised $100 million in private financing prior to going public, but we got our start. It wasn't that long ago that mobile wasn't a thing, and people were just figuring out web. So 10 years ago, single-digit internet content consumption was done on a mobile phone. It was less than 5%. Now it's like 80%. And so the Phunware began with this idea of how do you establish a brand presence on mobile? And a lot of these brands had no idea where to begin. So our first slogan was everything you need to succeed on mobile. Right. And so we built the first NASCAR app, the first NFL app. We still build and maintain all of Fox's apps. And then what ended up happening was that became a very interesting data acquisition engine. A lot of the software that we have on phones was telling us information about interactions. And so it became so large because also we lit up actual real world venues. So we started doing location-based services. So we had all these data points coming in from physical world, the virtual world. And it was all about branded consumer engagement. What are you doing? How are you interacting with brands? How are you interacting with physical locations? And people started coming to us and saying, you know what, there's this weird problem. We keep spending money on Facebook, yet we don't really know what we're getting. We feel, and we kind of inherently know this, right? There's abandoned accounts, there's spiders, there's bots, there's all this fraud and waste. There's all this performance install bullshit, click farms in China. And these brands are struggling to reach actual human beings.
Totally.
So what all these kind of centralized companies are doing, they're exploiting the user and they're surveilling you. So, they're turning on the microphone in your phone and trying to listen to what you're actually saying, or they're embedding a microphone in a Nest thermostat and not telling you they did it. A lot of
that kind of happen for real.
What's that?
That really happens for real.
It's so scary. And we kind of had a general hypothesis was, what if we took that idea, this era of exploitation, and we used all the data that we're creating to create an era of collaboration? So we say, look, we're collecting all this data. We have all these interesting data points. We have 1 billion active devices touch our platform. We've created over 2.5 billion Phunware IDs, human beings tied to a mobile phone over the 10 years we've been in existence. What if we use that for good? What if we decentralized data? What if we allowed all that information about you as a consumer to be controlled and managed by you so that you're compensated for it? You decide when it's shared, you decide how it's used and who's using it, and brands are able to engage with you and get verifiable information on a one-to-many basis. That changes the game entirely.
Honestly,
so now you have actual accurate information, but you can't do that on a manual basis. You have to use machine learning. You have to use AI. We call it a knowledge graph. That's kind of our hub, our central control of how we manage all these disparate data sets. Yeah. But it's powerful, and it allows brands to engage with consumers in a more authentic manner.
Dude, I feel like just me personally and all the people that we talk with inside of our network, I was like, dude, if I got served up relevant ads that mattered to me, I would fucking buy, dude.
And it's not just the ads, right? So for us, thematically for Phunware, it's, can I get the right message to the right person
at the right time,
at the right time, in the right place?
Right.
Because even if you're interested in that message, you may be busy, or you may be doing something else. Or maybe it might not be optimal. If you're trying to get 2 kids out the door and get to school and pack lunches and do a bunch of things, having an ad unit on your phone is not going to really be helpful. Like, when are you consuming data? What are the apps that you know and love? See, we look at the user holistically. It's across all the apps you use. It's across all the locations that you're at. And we create this kind of, AI-induced digital self that represents you as a consumer. And we say, people still want to buy. They just hate to be sold. And they hate to be sold when they're not interested in buying. Ooh. So if you can use machine learning, and you can use blockchain, and you can use our enterprise cloud platform for mobile to create these opportunities for a conversation to be had, just like you said, people will absolutely engage. It's just, when I get stuff that is not relevant to me, I start to get kind of a filter, and I start to kind of get tone deaf to some of the messaging, and that's really frustrating for brands. They don't want to piss you off. They really want you to be interested in what they're doing. And if you're not interested, they want to know, because they don't want to waste their money on you. I mean, I still get, these massive, like, it got to be expensive. Some of these magazines that some people send me, I'm like, you can stop sending me this. This is a waste of money. I'm not going to this store ever.
Ever. Yeah. And they will continue to do it. We started our first company back in like 2002. I still have magazines that I get sent, probably like 15 magazines that still get sent to me today. And I'm like, dude, like, I literally have never shopped at their store one time, dude. They're sending me like a $5 magazine like every month,
Somebody said, I don't know if it's true. I haven't fact checked this, so nobody hold it against me if it's wrong. But it's some crazy stat that, like, there's still like 8 million subscribers to like AOL Messenger or something, just getting like repeat billed or something. Like, it's some like crazy, like, just, it hasn't been relevant forever, but they're still just cranking through rebills.
Oh, they're doing rebills. I mean, a lot of merchants still do that today. Even
yeah. No, and this is why, I mean, I think it's really exciting. For us, the challenge is, this is something that people haven't ever thought that they should control. And this goes back to the kind of the original thesis of our conversation, entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship should be all about identifying, where's the market going? Where are we going to be a couple years from now? Like, you can't just follow the fads. Like, you really need to say, okay, where do I add the most value? What are the capabilities that I have? And how do I use those to deliver something that is a must-have, not just a nice-to-have? And we're starting to see that in data. Like, it's almost like becoming like, you can feel it. The winds are shifting. Like, people are starting to speak out. People are starting to say, like, wait a minute, Experian hacks and Facebook, some of the shady behavior that they're doing, and some of the ways they, quite frankly, just made it addictive, and the implications of social media and the implications of data. And then people are kind of saying data is super valuable. It's probably one of the most valuable assets on the planet. You've never been told that you should own it, ever. And there's a big spectrum in terms of how valuable it is. So, like, if I know right now, hey, Chase, you're a male, 35 to 55 years old, you live in California, that might be worth, 10, 20 cents, 50 cents, $1, who knows? And I could buy that data from, like, Facebook if I'm Mercedes and I'm trying to sell you a car. Right. Because I don't really know if you're a buyer. I don't know what your LTV would be. I don't really know that much about you. Right. But now, with our technology, we may know if you've actually been to a Mercedes dealership. We may know what other apps you have on your phone. You may have told us that you're actually interested in buying a car. We can increase the probability that the brand actually knows that you truly are interested in buying a car. And we may even use our blockchain-based reward system to ask you to upload, a lease, or tell us information about it. If I know you're coming up on the end of your lease, or coming up on the, you've owned a car and you haven't bought a new car for 4 or 5 years, that also tells me something like, hey, you're really ready to buy a new car. Because imagine if you walk into a Mercedes dealership, even the lowest level salesman, they have the ability to, if I offer cash, I guarantee you I'll get 10 grand off sticker price. They have flexibility that allows them to do a lot. So what is your real value? Is it the dollar as just the demographic information? Or is it the $10,000 of being willing to negotiate at point of sale? It's somewhere in the middle, and our system allows brands to find more valuable customers and pay them to engage with them in manners that may be more profitable for that brand. And that changes the game entirely. So you're not casting this wide net, because brands don't really care about finding more people. They want to find the right people.
Are you getting this data because you guys have an app on the phone?
Oh man, good question. So the challenge that I think a lot of people have, and this also goes to entrepreneurship. One of the first questions I would ask as an investor is, how does this change customer behavior? I hate changing customer behavior. I hate changing workflow. So there's a couple other, people trying to do this, like, say, for instance, in blockchain. If you're asking somebody to install an entirely new browser, if you're asking somebody to download an entirely new app, man, that's hard. I don't care how good your value proposition is. We live in an on-demand economy. It's the attention society, and we don't have time for that shit. I'm not going to stop using Chrome. I'm not going to, most people are not going to stop using Safari. They're just going to keep doing it because that's all they've known. They're not going to install a new browser just because it rewards them for, looking at advertising. It's just not a high enough priority for people. So the way our engineer, and remember, we got over 150 employees. So, we have incredible engineers. And so what they are architecting is all based on SDKs. So yes, we have an app to help you KYC and take control of some of the compensation you get for engaging with brands, but you don't have to do that to begin getting compensated. So our SDK goes seamlessly into existing mobile ecosystems, existing mobile apps. And so if you have a mobile app, we can make it smarter, and we can give you a loyalty ecosystem using blockchain to monitor and manage those payments. And so what ends up happening is you just keep engaging in the same app you always engaged in. But because the publisher of that app, the owner of that app, wanted to improve the loyalty and give you something in return for doing something, that exists within that mobile ecosystem. So think about it like this. Say I'm an airline. Yeah, I fly Southwest all the time because I'm cheap. So I have Rapid Rewards. Every time I buy a ticket, every time I buy a hotel, every time I use my credit card, I get Rapid Rewards. And that's all well and good. But Southwest Airlines has a bunch of profitable behavior that's not tied to just buying a ticket. They try to turn their flights as quickly as possible. And so it's really important for them, for you to show up to the terminal when the flight's leaving and not be late, because they'll delay the flight because they're the Love airline. They'll delay the flight a little bit if you've gone through security, but you're not at the terminal. Right. Every minute is money. So we could actually have, within the existing Southwest Airlines mobile app, we could have the ability to compensate people for showing up on time. We geofence the airport. We can compensate you just for getting to the airport. We can compensate you for getting to the terminal. And so now for Southwest, they have a way, they still have rewards and points, but now they're influencing customer behavior. They're influencing customer behavior to make it profitable behavior, but you're doing it within the existing ecosystem that the customer already knows and loves.
And they don't actually get the money. It's just more like a credit towards another Southwest flight or something, right?
No. See, that's the big idea. So that's why it's all blockchain enabled. So what brands understand is that kind of coupon cutting mentality where it's points and it's blackout dates and it's all that. People have a natural kind of tendency to not buy into that. But if I just give you $1, think about how many people on their credit card, they ask for just cash back. Give me cash back. Yeah. I realize that you have a marketplace and I can use my points, but I don't want that. I want cash back. So that's why we're using blockchain, because we're literally giving you a cryptocurrency that you can go sell it on an exchange if you want. Because remember, the brand already got the benefit. The brand wants the profitable behavior. If I'm, a cruise line and I want to get you to buy an excursion to go zip lining in the jungle on one of our first port of calls, then I'm going to give you a cryptocurrency just to watch the video to see how cool that experience would be. And if you buy that experience, I win. What do I care if you have a cryptocurrency that you can go sell? Like that's cool with me. Like, but now if I can enable a marketplace and you can come back and buy and sell that and use that within my branded marketplace, that's a second bite at the apple. I'll do that. So we're going to enable that, but it's not a requirement.
That's an amazing concept. And because you touched on cryptocurrency and, what you guys are doing outside of the blockchain, I'd like to touch on that a little bit because, I was investing when it was really hot. I don't even look at it anymore because it's a graveyard, basically. So I figure, like in a few years, I'll look at.
I like to think about it more like a cryostasis unit. Like they could be dead, but they might wake up.
Well, I'm curious to know your opinion on this because you're really heavily involved inside of that market, and obviously you're part of the Watchers and you do a lot of stuff there. But and crypto was super fucking hot for a long time, and then obviously it's cold now. But what is your opinion on where it's going? Actually, McAfee said he's going to eat his own dick for $500,000, which it looks like he's going to have to do that. And actually, he's crazy enough to fucking do it. So I think
he probably always wanted to do it a little bit.
I'm concerned that actually might happen. But tell me about where you think this is going. What's happening right now?
So I will say probably the greatest, and we laughed about it earlier, and this. I mean, people see these entrepreneurial success stories, and it's literally 10-year overnight successes. You know how long it takes to build a business. I know how long it takes to build a business. It is literally guerrilla warfare with a knife, in the trenches forever. And so, I mean, even the big success stories, they take a long time. And so we're geared to think about long-term value in a different way than most people playing in crypto right now. They come and like, you know, think about the sheer idiocracy of it is like, hey, I raised a bunch of money. Now I listed on an exchange and I can sell it all and created a coin, but that's somehow tied to the value of the company. No, it's not. The company's got the money, you paid for it. The price of the token has nothing to do with the value of the company.
Right.
The company, if it's still operating, you know, should still operate the same way. Now, if they held it in ETH and it was going to be their runway and they never sold it and it cratered, yeah, your runway died. But I say all that to say we are just getting started. Nothing has happened yet. And we saw this report come out that a lot of the, you know, the Bitcoin volume is actually probably faked. That's a great thing. As a concept, I don't care if it's called Bitcoin or ends up being called something else, but for right now, follow the regulators, follow nation states. Bitcoin's the only thing people are talking about. So until that conversation changes, Bitcoin's the king. Bitcoin's not going anywhere. And most of your game around, if you're a long-term investor, should be around using, you know, alternative cryptocurrencies to probably generate more Bitcoin. That's what most people do. They're just trying to use their profits from that to acquire more Bitcoin because it's a finite supply. It's so early. This little blip that happened, I have this chart I always show that kind of talks about an S curve. And if you go to a $1 trillion y-axis, then it looks like in that November 2017, we went whoop, and it was like crazy.
Totally.
Anybody that knows anything about the potential of this market, and let it be known now, blockchain as a construct will be one of the greatest innovations to hit the global economy since the Medici, you know, commercialized double entry accounting. It is a massive idea. I think it's bigger than the internet. The internet is all about the dissemination of information. Blockchain is about the dissemination of value. And when you can do that at scale, it's going to change every industry probably known to man. It's just so early, but it's fun. All you got to do is go back. This happens again and again and again. Go back to the 90s and listen to people talking about email. Listen to them talking about the internet. It's like monkeys using tools for the first time. They're like, what is this? This is stupid. Why would I do this? And now it's like, oh yeah, those people are dumb. What are those people now? Everyone's like, crypto, what is it dead? In 10 years, people are going to be showing videos of people talking about crypto today going, those idiots.
Yeah.
Like, crypto is absolutely, and we probably got to stop calling it crypto. I think we have a branding problem a little bit. IBM just replaced all, you know, first they went to blockchain. Now they replaced all the titles at blockchain with digital assets. So if you are a blockchain director of blockchain, now you're a director of digital assets. So there's a branding construct going on right now, but you know, cryptocurrencies and the blockchain technology that they rely on are the future. They're absolutely coming. It is so early right now. What people should absolutely be doing is looking at, you know, where are the companies that, you know, that you would be willing to hold, that if they can achieve what they propose to achieve, they're game changers. You know, we're launching on Stellar. I think Stellar is going to be the next Ethereum. It's the only, when we were trying to evaluate what could handle our volume and do it in a reliable fashion that had an existing blockchain that had been doing it for a while on enterprise settings, Stellar was the only game in town. And so I think just like Ethereum had to get built up, you had to buy a bunch of Ethereum in order to launch ICOs. I think you'll need to buy a bunch of Stellar to launch STOs and more enterprise grade utility token launches. And so I think, you know, that platform I love. I get the Ripple platform too. I mean, I know there's always a yin and yang there, but I get what they're trying to do with financial institutions. I love Decentraland. You know, Mana, people love virtual shit. It's basically they're trying to build Ready Player One. People get that. They understand it. You know, Funcoin, we're trying to build a blockchain-enabled data exchange, decentralized data, and give brands a mobile loyalty ecosystem. People can get that relatively quickly because it kind of plays off of what they're currently used to. Some of these projects are so complicated and so super on the periphery. Those are going to be more of a challenge. You're going to have to show people the use cases. So right now, the two indicators of any movement in crypto are usually just sentiment and momentum. And so a lot of that's driven by news and the way people understand things. So I always look for things that people can understand and get. And that's quite frankly driven a lot of my investment thesis around blockchain.
Well, you look at too, a lot of the banks, and we'll be in it shortly, but you look at the banks too. A lot of the banks are starting to get involved with it.
Yeah.
You know, even guys like Jamie Dimon, who basically were out there criticizing, the blockchain and digital.
By criticizing, you mean accumulating Bitcoin while he was criticizing? Okay, yeah, I got you. Keep going.
I mean, it's all a front, right? So
Yeah.
build something while everyone thinks, oh shit, it's falling apart, the sky's falling. So, I mean, it's actually smart. So,
yeah.
But Randall, man, you dropped a lot of bombs today. So much knowledge, and honestly, I really appreciate where you guys came from and what you guys are doing with Phunware. And your experience is amazing. If people want to get a hold of you and entrepreneurs want to reach out to you or find out more about maybe talking to you one-on-one or becoming part of the Watchers or the group that you represent, how do they do that?
I love that you said that. And one, I do want to end with that because this is a special space. The .com era was very inclusive, cliquey, and hard to break into. And it's kind of who you knew, what you were doing, and what company you last took public. The blockchain space is very collaborative and open. It's a community. You can literally reach out to people to your question and get a hold of them. So, the Crypto Watch, you find us on Facebook. You look for the owl. We're always available. We're always trying to teach people. We're always trying to organize events. We're always, Chase, Dan, Zach, our entire team, and it covers everything from crypto to e-com to just building your brand to social media. We really want to bring people together to kind of have this conversation. So that's one. I'm always there. We're always doing events, and we'll be at the Crypto Invest Summit next week, April 9th and 10th. So come check us out there. Alon and Joseph do an incredible job there. And then, for me personally, I'm easy to find. It's rcrowder@phunware.com. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. My name @Randall Crowder is Instagram. My name, is my name on Facebook. I'm not trying to hide. And that's what I think is special about what we're trying to do. The next evolution of cryptocurrency has to be credible, transparent, real companies launching actual blockchain solutions that solve real world problems. And you got to have the real world experience to get it done. And that's why we're going to win. And that's why we're successful. We actually ended up launching a Reg CF just to give, some of our employees and some unaccredited investors the opportunity to invest at the same rate that some of our institutional investors were investing in. So that's at republic.co/Phuncoin. And then, please, anybody that has any, if I can be helpful in any way, I will always be available. I'm always reachable. And I love that conversation. I love giving back. I love helping out. And so I appreciate you having me on here, and anything I can do to help you as well, please let me know.
Awesome. Randall, thank you so much for your time, and I will be in touch with you soon. Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Chase.
You,
hey.